Okay to talk about all things menopause. We cover the clinician and medical side, lifestyle, mental health, and other topics like insurance and open enrollment. Everyone, there's so many intersections that affect this great time of our life. I'm Melanie Olson, Community Director here at Gennev, and today we're talking about what some of us consider a beast of a thing. It's confusing to say the least, at least for me. Medical insurance, open enrollment, how you navigate it, and truly figure out the steps that you need to take care of you and your family the best way. So, what are the right selections to make? What are the right questions to ask yourself? This discussion intersects with menopause, as so many of us are not getting the essential menopausal care that we need to thrive during our menopausal transition. We at Gennev are working towards reducing that gap and working to educate the workplace and beyond so that all women and people with ovaries get that necessary coverage needed to get the right appointments and care. Today, our guest is the awesome Devon McGill, Partnerships and Benefits Director here at Gennev. Devon is an accomplished global benefits expert with extensive experience in tech, healthcare, the nonprofit sectors, with recognized expertise in benefits strategy and new program delivery that focuses on driving employee satisfaction and utilization. Her role at Gennev supports increasing access to specialty menopause through workplace benefit offerings, and her deep expertise in benefits allows her to help benefits and HR teams build the case for why menopause solutions in the workplace support diversity, equity, and inclusion, and health equity goals. And it's just simply the right thing to do. I welcome you, Devon. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. This is my favorite time of year. Open enrollment is, a benefits leader's time to shine. And even though I don't technically work in benefits anymore, like you can take the girl out of benefits, but you can't take the passion for benefits out of the girl. So I'm super excited to join you and to talk about open enrollment.
I love that. That's so awesome. And thank you so much for joining us. First off, we're all in what we call this open enrollment time right now. I just did some selection, and side note, Devon walked all of us at Gennev through it because we had a bunch of questions and it was so awesome. Can you start us off with just what exactly is open enrollment? And then listener, please ask your questions. We're monitoring chat. Throw them in wherever you're listening to us, either YouTube or on LinkedIn today. Throw them in and we'll be able to answer your chat as we go. But anyway, first off, what exactly is open enrollment, Devon?
So open enrollment is the one time of year where you can make changes to any of your benefits. So medical, dental, vision, you can opt into some ancillary benefits. And most importantly, your savings accounts. So your FSAs and your HSAs. So if you do nothing during open enrollment, likely your medical, dental, vision elections will continue on. But those FSAs and those HSAs, so flexible spending accounts and health savings accounts, you have to re-elect those every year. And that's really where you can make benefits work best for you. So it's good to pay attention. I highly recommend, if you're watching this, go look at the email that your benefits team sent you. Make sure you understand the dates of open enrollment. Really note on your calendar and set aside time for when you're going to take the time to look at your benefits and make your selections before that open enrollment date ends.
I love that you said put some time on your calendar, because as someone who's done this year and year, for years, every year I've worked, I haven't done that. And I really get to the last day and I feel confused. And it's like, let's do ourselves a favor and put some time on to dedicate to this. That's one takeaway I got from you a couple weeks ago when we all talked about it. Take the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's not easy, right? Like the healthcare industry just overall is confusing. What's a deductible? What's a coinsurance? When does it apply? What are the actual benefits I have for acupuncture or menopause? And so taking the time to really understand what are the benefits that are available to me through my employer, your benefits leaders, they take a lot of time to curate benefits that work for you. And so making sure to take the time during the year where they're communicating and they have your attention, read through the benefits that you have, ask all the questions, really think about what did I do last year? What are my goals for next year when it comes to my healthcare and my
Mhm.
finances? And really set that time aside to talk to your partner as well. We know that women are most often the ones who make the decisions in the home about their healthcare. And so pull in your spouse, pull in your partner, pull in your adult children that you're still covering under
Mm.
insurance. Really talk to them about what are you guys planning for the year so that we can make sure to choose the healthcare plan that works best for us, in terms of deductibles, in terms of location of where those insurance companies provide care. Do you want to keep your doctor? Do you want a different doctor? And do they offer menopause coverage?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's so important because I think we don't think about it big enough. For me, and I have two children I have covered, I'm often when I'm approaching it thinking of the big stuff, the hospital, the clinical meeting or with doctors for, just those yearly physicals and things like that. But some of the stuff that you brought up, I haven't thought of in terms of an acupuncturist or like a chiropractor if you go to that, or these other things that are also likely involved or included in a policy that, I guess for me, I've probably not optimized my usage many times over through the years with some of the benefits that have been given to me that I haven't known about or taken advantage of.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough to really take advantage. And so, what I recommend as you kind of set aside that time is to think through what's coming up for you next year. Is there
Mhm.
a surgery, an outpatient or inpatient surgery that you're thinking about? Are you having a baby? Are you going to be an empty nester where your child is in college in a different location? So you have to
Mm.
really think about what's available to them. But additionally, this is the time to really think about what are your goals for next year, right? We're
Mm.
all coming up on that time of year where we set our resolutions. And your resolution could be, and maybe should be, how do I take care of myself next year? And does that involve looking at your mental health support that's available to you through your benefits? Is that around chiropractic care, acupuncture care? Is it menopausal care? Is
Yeah.
it really just looking at what are my available options for the lifestyle benefits that my company might offer? Should I be thinking about, getting a treadmill, or should I be thinking about my gym membership? There's so many things that are part of your overall benefits package that support you, that's just a good time for you to set those goals. And if you're thinking, you know what, I'd really like to try massage therapy this year. And if you set aside that time and you really think about the benefits, the medical plan that supports that, and set aside the FSA and HSA funds that support that, you're more likely to actually go and make that massage appointment. You're actually able to set aside that money for that menopausal care and the prescriptions that are likely to go with it. And so it really helps to now, is the time where you can really set aside those goals, really make sure that you're setting aside the funds and enrolling in the options and plans that are going to allow you to be successful in meeting those goals of taking care of yourself for the following year.
Yeah, yeah. Some things too that come to mind around it is, as just going through open enrollment is, how do we do what do we do to go in and make sure something's been covered? Like maybe a medication that like an HRT or something for women in menopause. Can you help guide us a little bit on how to double check to make sure things are covered?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a few different ways, depending on your organization, kind of how you can do this. So here at Unified, we have an online calculator. The enrollment system actually has a place where you can enter in your prescriptions, and based on the plan that you're looking at, it'll tell you what your out-of-pocket costs would be. So that's one really good way. So I definitely recommend utilizing those online enrollment systems, those online tools to really help you understand if these are my prescriptions and my the services that I plan to use for next year. Here's what my out-of-pocket costs will look like on a variety of different plans. Some
Mhm.
enrollment systems don't have that, but you do have that option available through the insurance company system. So you can go onto your insurance company's website, look at a few of them, and that's a good way to do any kind of understanding of what your prescription might look like. So if we're thinking about menopause coverage, so estradiol is one of the most common HRT prescriptions that
Right.
Gennev physicians prescribe. And so you can go into your online calculator, your prescription calculator on either your enrollment website or your insurance company's website. You can enter in that prescription and get a sense of what's the coverage like for me. There's other ways as well. GoodRx also is a really good way to take a look at what the overall cost might look like. Amazon Pharmacy is another one. And so that's a really good way for you to think about what are the costs for this? What can I be planning for in advance? So I'm not surprised when this expense comes up for me next year.
Yeah. And a really important plug right now too is to just really intersect those lifestyle things that you're the one that's talked about it. Acupuncture, massage, gym membership, nutrition help, that kind of stuff. Pelvic floor, ladies, I'm prioritizing that next year for me.
Right.
Those are the things that you've brought up to us that I've honestly not given enough thought about and care in relation to myself. And I think a lot of others are in the same boat.
Yeah, absolutely. It's hard to really know when you're looking at your benefits what is covered, right? Because you get a summary of benefits coverage. It's just, a few lines. It kind of talks you through this is what your co-insurance and your copay are, but it doesn't really always get into the details of how many acupuncture visits do I have? What's the network that I should be looking at in terms of whether or not acupuncture is covered? Pelvic floor, where do I go? Does my insurance company have a preferred vendor? So these are all really great questions to ask your benefits team. So benefits teams during open enrollment, they want you to come ask these questions. They want to support you in making sure that you make the best decisions for yourself because they spend time all year long looking at the benefits programs and researching vendors and making sure that they're going to support what you need for the coming year. And so if you have questions, absolutely reach out to your benefits team. They may have open office hours. They may be doing open enrollment sessions. Take the time to meet with them. They're really the experts. And so they can help answer some of those really tough questions of how many visits do I have? What's my plan that I should be looking at as I go to my insurance company's website? Is it a PPO plan or an HMO plan? What does that actually mean? They're there to support you and they will give you the best information and the best support because they know the benefits plans better than anyone.
And I think that we should give a little shout out to all those benefits managers out there because for me, I have not, I'll be like, I'm not getting any help. And then I'll go back to my email and there's all this incredible information that I haven't read, office hours that are available. There are ways. I mean, I can't speak globally, but I will say that as a consumer, I have not worked with my benefits managers enough throughout the course of my career to just let them help me. And I love what you're saying, and that is they're here to help. This is what they live for. They love to do this. So work with what you've got. And, bring them in.
Yeah, and now is the time, right, to really dive in to the benefits that are available to you. But I guarantee you, your benefits team is also reaching out to you throughout the year, right? And so it does feel sometimes overwhelming during the holiday season. If this is your open enrollment time, it does feel a little overwhelming to have to be thinking about like all of these different things while you're thinking about the holidays that are coming up and it's the end of the year. That's understandable. But there are times throughout the year where your benefits team is likely reaching out to you, inviting you to participate in different events and even offering new benefits, right? So benefits don't just end on January 1st. Benefits can happen all throughout the year. And so I encourage you also from a previous benefits leader's perspective, there's so much rich, great information available to you that's probably just sitting in your inbox or on the intranet. And benefits people don't expect you to be experts, right? Like that's what we're here for. We're here to support you. And so I recommend, take charge of the information that you're receiving from your benefits team. But also feel free to reach out. Feel free to ask the questions. I guarantee you that your benefits team is wants you to do that. They're not here to just make tough decisions about your premiums. They really, from my experience of the benefits people that I've worked with, we all really like to help people. That's why we do the jobs that
Mhm.
we do, and we want to make your lives as easy as possible. So definitely, one, read the information that's available to you, but two, if you have questions, definitely reach out. Don't feel like you have to do it alone.
Yeah, always, always. We talked about the HSA and FSA conversation, the health savings account and the flexible savings accounts. Will you talk a little bit more about both of those and how they relate to the insurance conversation? Please.
Absolutely.
There's always so many
Yeah.
questions I have about it.
Yeah, this is the confusing bit. Health savings accounts are tied to high deductible health plans, and so those are those health plans that have $1,500 deductibles on an individual basis. And so when you're enrolling in that type of plan where you have to meet your deductible before the plan starts to cover any of the healthcare services that you've received, unless they're preventative care, so please make sure to get your preventative visits. So there's a plug for that. Always plan for that.
Yes. Yeah,
Um,
call out.
so your plan will start to kick in once you've satisfied that deductible. Well, $1,500 is a lot. And so one of the things that the government has put in place to help support you and to entice you into those high deductible health plans is a health savings account. So those health savings accounts are pre-tax dollars that are set aside into an account that you can use for eligible healthcare expenses. The great thing about a health savings account is that the money will grow tax free. And so as you put in more and more money, you will gain interest
Hmm.
uh, on that money, and that is tax free. And you can take it out tax free once you've retired. You can use that for Medicare or Medicaid plans and things like that. So
Hmm.
I highly recommend health savings accounts. I always recommend putting aside at least the amount of the deductible if you can afford it. And some organizations also do a match on your health savings account. So it's basically free money that you can use throughout the year for healthcare expenses. And it does roll over from year to year. So that is a super good option for those who are interested in lower premiums and can afford to kind of set aside those additional funds in their health savings account, and they want to grow those funds over time.
Hmm.
Flexible spending accounts, on the other hand, are paired with a PPO plan. So PPO is preferred provider organization. Those are those copay plans that we're really used to, where you go to the
Mhm.
doctor, pay $15, you receive your services, the insurance plan covers the rest. So those flexible spending accounts are similar to HSAs in that you set aside your pre-tax funds for healthcare eligible expenses, dental, vision as well. You use it throughout the
Mhm.
year, you use it or lose it. So you can roll over some of that money into the next year, but in general, you lose those funds. You don't actually continue to roll them over year. So you have to be a little bit more planful about how much money you're setting aside for that FSA so you don't lose those funds. But it is still a really good option if you know that you have services that maybe aren't covered through your insurance or covered on an out of network basis. And so that's a really good way for you to set aside those funds in advance so that they're coming out pre-tax. You're not paying taxes on those funds, and you can utilize those FSA or HSA dollars for big expenses you're going to have through the year, saving it up for future use or for those out of network or additional expenses that you're going to have through the year.
That's awesome. Yeah, I did a really nice comprehensive review this year based on your help and just feeling a little more empowered and going, I can do this. And it was really interesting for me because I've done the flex many years over and I use it and for my children, for life, everything. But the HSA plan is also interesting. And you had mentioned something about, overinsurance, about how so many people get overinsured. And I know we don't have to get into all of those details, but I hadn't thought about any of that. So it's also like making sure that you're not spending more money than you have to here. And it's already really spending, our org is matching and paying a lot out on our behalf too. So anyway, that's just thinking about that out loud here.
Yeah, for sure. It is tough, right? Because it's just one more thing added to our plate in terms of thinking about how we're supporting ourselves financially. And so we over the course of the last 10 to 15 years, health plans have really changed. Workplace benefits have really changed. And instead of it being more paternalistic, where the workplace just provides you the benefits, super rich benefits, you don't have to think about it, you're covered. Things have
Yeah.
changed. Health insurance in this country is just more and more expensive. And so workplace benefits are really shifting to have employees think about the plans that they're enrolled in and really thinking about how much coverage do you really need. Let's not pay more than what's really necessary, but getting the coverage that you need as well. And so
Yeah.
things we talked about and getting really kind of specific about menopause coverage in
Yeah.
Gennev is how to use your HSA and FSA to support that if your company doesn't offer menopause benefits. So as it stands today, it's in the single digits, percentage digits of the number or the percentage of organizations that offer workplace menopause coverage, just kind of outright to their employees. At
Mhm.
Gennev, you're covered in network with Aetna, United Healthcare. There are other in network coverage to come. We're out of network with Cigna, and so when you think about you're hearing us talk, you're listening to all of our weekly webinars, you're getting all this great information, and you're starting to think about I think I might start talking to Gennev, meeting with an OBGYN. I really love the RDN services that are available, but either I'm not covered by Aetna or United Healthcare, so there's an option to either enroll in one of those plans so that you do get Gennev coverage if that's available to you through your employer, or you can start using your FSA or HSA to cover those expenses. We are covered kind of out of network with a lot of different insurance plans. And so what I would recommend is, as you think about, I really want to engage with Gennev, I really want to take charge of my menopause journey, set aside about $500. $500 should about cover what you need for your OBGYN visits and your RDN visits with potentially a prescription. So that'll really get started with Gennev on your 1 year journey, the first year that you connect with us. And then as we have our OBGYNs and RDNs build you a specialized care plan, you can think about what that looks like for future years. So that's
Yeah.
what I would recommend as you're thinking about, hey, this Gennev thing sounds like a really good idea. What do I do during open enrollment so I can ensure that I can actually utilize all the amazing things that Gennev has to offer? First, check to see if we're covered under one of the options of your insurance plans, and then set aside those funds in your HSA or FSA.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, $500. As you kind of just say it like that, I'm like, I mean, I don't want to, I'm not shaking a leg at $500. $500 is something to plan for, but it's also like doable in this environment. And as someone who, I'm using my HSA on services that aren't necessarily covered with my insurance. It's a really great way to plan for getting the right help right now that you may be needing. And $500 isn't that much of a barrier to start. It also
Absolutely.
helps that it only takes usually about 3 to 5 days to connect to a real menopausal expert doctor that can help get you on the right track. That little amount of time versus maybe 9 months waiting for an expert in the traditional, that itself is worth a huge amount of money. But it's time.
Absolutely. I mean, that's
So,
I think what we see, what we've been hearing kind of overall in the healthcare landscape is, there's a lot of burnout with providers.
mhm,
There's a serious shortage of OBGYNs in this country,
mhm.
particularly with menopause coverage and expertise. And so what Gennev is really trying to do is to break down those barriers in terms of going to your OBGYN, having to, it takes, 6 to 9 months to actually get in. You have to set aside time in your workday to, commute to actually getting to your appointment, whether that's in the city and you having to sit through traffic, or if you're in a more rural location, you have to drive 50 miles to the closest
Yeah,
city that has an
the
OBGYN.
medical desert, as we call them.
Exactly. These
Okay.
medical deserts, I mean, it's really tough to get that expertise and that coverage, right? And so
Mhm.
what Gennev allows people to do is to get the coverage that they need literally right from home. and you can just in between your meetings or on a lunch break or, things like that, where you can just talk to an OBGYN and you can finally feel heard. And I think it's super important for not only women to advocate for themselves in a way where they're actually booking these appointments, but advocating for themselves and those around them and their daughters in the future to talk to their benefits team about, do we have menopause coverage? Why don't we have menopause coverage? How can we better support this workplace and better support
Mm.
women of all ages, really, because it impacts all of us.
Yeah.
How are we supporting them? Let's get these benefits in place in all the workplaces, so that we can ensure that we're supporting women really when they're at the top of their game. I think it's super important to keep women in the workplace to grow businesses, right? Like they're
Oh, yeah.
experts in so many ways, and they're opting out of leadership positions. They're opting out of the workplace because of these really impactful menopause symptoms. And so,
Mm.
taking 30 minutes to book an appointment with an OBGYN who specializes in this and really listens to you and builds a plan that's specific to you, that supports you, it's pretty incredible. And so I
Mhm.
really hope that during this open enrollment time that you guys really take the time to think about, what does this mean for me? What does this mean for me next year? If you have a
Mhm.
FSA funds to use now, go ahead and book an appointment with us now. I think
Yeah.
we have like 2-day availability in all 50 states. And so regardless of where you are or what time you have available, we have appointments on Saturdays. There's just lots of options to support you during this time, and to just educate too. If you just want to come to an OBGYN appointment, you're not sure kind of where you're at in your menopause journey,
Yes.
we've got 30 minutes and have one of our OBGYNs provide you with the education that no one has been giving us since the beginning of time, right? We're all going through menopause, and unless you work in a menopause company or have a
Yeah.
friend who works for a menopause company, you might have tons of questions, and you might not know kind of what the next step is or what to look out for, or what those symptoms are going to feel like. So just book an appointment, talk to an OBGYN, talk to them about kind of what you're thinking about, your specific circumstance, how you're feeling, how it's impacting your life, and just get that information and education just right from the beginning from an actual expert. So highly
Yeah.
recommend that.
Yeah. I love that. That's powerful. It's permission, and not too high of a barrier to entry there. With even just 1 or 2 appointments, if you want to get on the right track, or just go, okay, this is great. I think I will focus on this next year, or this is enough for now. There's just so much. We're all personally going through it. I'm in perimenopause. I literally don't know what I'd be doing without my Gennev health coach. That's that maintenance lifestyle side that helps me keep my brain in check on what I want to do and how I want to create my healthiest, thriviest self in menopause. So
Yeah.
that advocacy in healthcare is just so critical. We do talk about it a lot, but let's just remember, listeners, that if we want something, we have to advocate for it ourselves. That's the best way of going. And we're giving you permission right now to bring this up to your benefits managers and start the conversation. They may already have something going. It's really a hot conversation. It's really important. There's a lot of talk about it, even though there's so few actual benefits. There's a lot of discussions going on. So let's keep those discussions going and continuing to advocate for ourselves for this. This is so good. I think we could talk about this forever.
Good.
And maybe we
I
should
love
continue.
open enrollment and benefits. It's my passion. So I'm so glad I got to just spend some time talking with you about it, and with all of our listeners as well. It's my favorite time of year.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you to Devon for joining us. We appreciate you spending your time and expertise. We're taking the next week off for holiday here in the US, but keep your eyes and ears peeled for some great Gennev broadcasts coming in December. We'll be covering pelvic floor and vaginal biome health, as well as bringing some real life women's stories to the forefront. I can't wait for this. Let us know if you would like to share your story. All menopause stories qualify as we continue to bring them to the light and we keep talking about them. And one last thing, I'm here to remind you, you don't have to suffer through menopause alone. There's a fantastic Facebook community called Menopause Solutions by Gennev with over 8,300 members. We're discussing our experiences, we're comparing stories, we're suffering with each other, we're giving some important compassion and love and truly seeing each other. We're moderating it, Gennev is moderating it along with the docs and the RDNs to make sure to bring accurate information to the forefront. But there are real medical treatments and lifestyle treatments and great expertise and a lot of great knowledge and learning material to tap into at gennev.com. Thank you all so much for joining us today, and we'll see you at the next one. All right.
Thanks,
Bye.
Melanie. Bye.